What up, y'all? There's a lot of wines to look at this week. I know we did a lot of spirits last week, but we're going wine heavy right now. And then there is one spirit I want to talk about at the end, but for now, let's stick to the wine and let's get into it. First things first, La Cadeau. We have a few new wines from them and a whole new label as well. This is an Oregon producer that focuses largely on Pinot Noir. We'll start with two wines from their main label, La Cadeau. First one being La Cadeau Red Label Pinot Noir. This is from Willamette Valley up in the Chelan Mountains. And the price tag on this, you're looking at just around $40. It did get some nice scores. You're looking at a Wine Enthusiast 94 and a Vinous 91. So that's the 2022 vintage of La Cadeau Red Label, and this is available now for special order. The other wine from that label that we have is Diversité Pinot Noir, another 2021, also from the Chelan Mountains. A little bit steeper, closer to $50 a bottle on this one, and it did get a 94 from Suckling. So this producer actually has a second label called Jolete. This is brand new to us. I've never seen these wines before from them, but we do have two set up now. First one is going to be Jolete La Verre Cuvée. This is a Pinot Noir, a 2022 vintage, also from the Willamette Valley in Oregon. We're looking at a more approachable price point here, somewhere right around $24, and it did get a 91 from Wine Enthusiast. And the other Jolete that we just got set up, this is a single vineyard Cabernet, Jolete Summit View Vineyard Cabernet Sauvignon 2019. And this is not Willamette Valley, this is the Walla Walla Valley actually. So it looks like they're using this second label to branch out a little bit more around Oregon, experiment with some other varietals, because normally La Cadeau, what we mostly see from them is going to be 100% Pinot Noir, almost entirely from La Cadeau Vineyard. So that's four new wines from La Cadeau, two from the La Cadeau label and two from the Jolete label, and two different price points from a quality producer. Now I want to move on to some stuff that's a little bit more nerdy than that. First of which, we're going to look at Casa Jipi. Now, if you don't know, there is a pretty big winemaking boom going on in Mexico right now. A lot of it is focused in Valle de Guadalupe, which previously most of their wine grapes there were going into the production of brandies, but we're starting to see an influx of all sorts of stuff coming up from there. Casa Jipi, we have two new wines set up from them, the first of which is going to be a 2023 Nebbiolo. Nebbiolo, the grape you normally associate with Piedmont and Barolo. I've seen a handful of Mexican Nebbiolos, and I've also seen a Texas Nebbiolo or two, I believe. So this is a grape that is adapting to those kind of warmer areas in North America. You know, it kind of makes sense when you look back at early winemaking in the Americas and like the southern part of the United States specifically. There were a lot of Italian families that settled there, and they brought Italian varietals with them. So people in places like Texas used to produce wines from Nebbiolo, Barbera, and other varietals that you wouldn't really expect to see in those warmer climates. That all went away during Prohibition, and it never really grew back. You're starting to see some stirrings of a wine culture growing again in those areas. As surprising as it sounds to think that Nebbiolo might find a home in Mexico, it does make sense when you think about the historical context of that grape varietal in the Americas. Like I said, Casa Jipi Nebbiolo, this is a 2023 vintage from Mexico. It is 100% Nebbiolo. It looks like they're doing all stainless steel, so you're not getting any oak influence, which helps keep it brighter and fresher and a little more fruit forward. And the other wine from Casa Jipi that we just got set up, this is a skin contact Sauvignon Blanc, so an orange wine. It's an interesting label. It's almost pornographic. But that's fine. I haven't gotten a chance to taste this, but I really like what I'm reading from the description. Apricot, orange blossom, green tea, acacia, cinnamon, clove, fennel, eucalyptus. I mean, this is what I like out of an orange wine, that kind of dried fruit, floral, tea, really interesting mix of flavor profiles. And I think that it's something that any of you wine nerds out there that like to taste new and interesting wines, Casa Jipi Sauvignon Blanc, their skin contact orange wine, definitely seems like something that'll be worth trying. It is available for special order now, and both of these wines from Casa Jipi, you're looking at right around $30. Now we're going to look at Domaine de Tourelles. This is a cool producer in Lebanon, actually. We don't get a lot of wines coming from Lebanon, though there are plenty of producers in Lebanon that are making killer wines right now. So these are exciting to see come through. So Domaine de Tourelles, this is actually a pretty darn old producer. It was founded in 1886 by a French engineer, so you're looking at like 170 years, 175 years, somewhere around there of history. That math's not right. It's a long time. So these are high altitude vineyards. You're looking at 1,000 meters plus. So they're getting plenty of sunshine to get those grapes really nice and ripe, but cooler nights due to the altitude to preserve some acidity and freshness. Looks like for the most part, they're doing all their fermentation in concrete vats, and then using some big old oak barrels to age for a little bit after, and then doing a little bit of aging in old oak barrels. You're not getting a lot of heavy oak influence. Seems to be more of a minimal intervention producer. They are new to me, so I don't know a ton about them, but I like what what I'm seeing so far. The first wine we'll look at from them is an old vine Cinsault. This is a 2021 vintage. I'm not seeing any scores listed for it yet, but I can tell you it's hand harvested in small boxes, fermented in concrete vats with indigenous yeasts, and then aged in oak barrels for 8 months. And these are old used oak barrels, so you're not getting any oak flavor really. They're using minimal sulfur during bottling, and from what the tasting notes suggest, this is going to be a more earthy, subtle style of wine. The other wine that we just got set up from them is called Skin. This is made from an indigenous varietal to the region, Merwa. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, but this is a skin contact orange wine made from 150-year-old vines. So these vines must have been planted just shortly after the winery was founded, which is pretty darn cool. You don't really see a ton of 150-year-old vines that are still producing wine. So this is a pretty interesting wine. It's a varietal that I've never heard of that's indigenous to northern Lebanon, comes in at about 11% alcohol, so it'll be a pretty easy drinker and something that you could probably day drink with if you wanted to. And there's a lot of history behind these bottles. So both of these wines will have about a $20 price tag, and this is a pretty cool producer, and like I said, we don't have a ton of wines from Lebanon to offer you, so definitely check this producer out if you're looking for stuff that's a little off the beaten path. Alright, so now we're going to come back into the United States, and we'll go to California to look at a producer called Omen. I have two wines that were just set up from them, one being a Sierra Foothills red blend, and the other being a Lodi Chardonnay. Looks like this is a producer that's pretty focused on sustainability. I have a note here that says that all their glass is recycled, all of their labels are printed on recycled materials, and they even assemble their French oak barrels in the United States to reduce the shipping impact. All of these wines are vegan friendly. It's always refreshing to see that in a description because I get asked plenty for vegan wine recommendations, and I know there's tons of them out there, but most of them don't list it anywhere in the description, the label, none of that. So it's always cool to see a wine just tell you straight out that it's vegan. So this first one that we'll look at, the Chardonnay, this is 100% Chardonnay. It's sourced from sustainably farmed vineyards, and it is aged in French oak. From what I can tell from reading these tasting notes, it does have that bright tropical fruit profile. And the other wine from them is actually from one of my favorite regions on the planet, the Sierra Foothills. There's a lot of cool producers out there that make a variety of nerdy different styles of wine. This one from Omens looks to be a blend of 50% Zinfandel, 40% Petite Syrah, and 10% Barbera. It looks like they're doing their fermentation at 85 degrees, which will serve to extract a ton of flavor and character from the grapes. This wine does see French oak, 30% of which is new, so you're getting some of those oaky, spicy kind of flavors in there, but you're not getting an oak bomb. Just from reading about how they're making this wine, it sounds like something that I would love to have on my table if I'm eating some ribs or some like really saucy barbecue food. And this is vegan friendly as well. So like I said at the beginning of the video, it's mostly wine this week, but there is one spirit that I wanted to talk about, and that is going to be Maker's Mark, the Keeper's release. This is the 2025 release, and I thought this might be a fun opportunity to break out my Stave and Thief Society tasting kit that I got at the Executive Bourbon Steward class that I took a few years ago. It's kind of just been sitting around getting dirty for a while, and I figured, why not? So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people haven't heard of the Stave and Thief Society before. It is available to everybody, and this is something you can even do online. If you want to learn more about bourbon, and whiskey in general, really, just Google them, look them up, look up the Stave and Thief Society. I'll try to throw a link down in the description. They have two different classes they offer, at least when I took them they did, and both of them can be done online, but they also have a facility in Louisville, Kentucky that you can go take the classes in person at, which is a really cool experience. They have a still right inside of the little warehouse that you're taking the class in, and you go in and you kind of run through all of the steps in the process, and you can learn a lot from it. But when you go in person to the Executive Bourbon Steward class, you get this box full of different aromas, I guess. They're kind of like essences of different aromatics that you might find in a bourbon. It's a fun thing to play with when you're tasting bourbons. I find that it kind of connects faces to names in a way, if that makes sense to you. It's easy to pick up a glass of bourbon and go, well, the bottle said toffee and I smell toffee, but what does toffee really even smell like? I'm gonna go ahead and taste this, and maybe I'll play with some of these bottles and, I don't know, see what happens. So on the nose, the first things that come to mind for me, tobacco and chocolate. So let me find those little bottles here and compare them side by side, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I would say that fits well enough. I like to kind of keep these bottles lined up. If you're somebody that likes to write down their tasting notes, then having a kit like this is really helpful because as you're picking things out in your brain, you can compare it to the actual essence of what you're thinking. And then everything that matches for you can line up, and it's just kind of really easy to take notes once you have everything right in front of you like that. Yeah, and tobacco, I'm going to say that's a pretty distinct aromatic for me. So I'm going to go ahead and put that one in front of the cocoa. Now, kind of sitting inside of all of that, there's definitely some fruit to this too. I just want to call it like cherry pie or something like that. So let's see. Number 21 would be cherry. Yeah, 100% cherry. And there is something kind of like cakey and sweet to it too. It smells like a dessert. A lot of depth to it. Obviously plenty of heat because we are looking at like 109 proof, but I wouldn't call it overpowering. Am I gonna like chug this or take shots of it? No, for two reasons. One, because it's like a $90 bottle of whiskey. And two, I don't know, I just don't usually drink whiskey like that. Wow, the back end, that like the cherry kind of like really pops out. So you get your nose, plenty of complexity there. Entry, heat first, and then more of that oak, that spice, that tobacco. But yeah, back end, it pops with that brighter cherry, fruitier note. And the chocolate is persistent in there too. This stuff is really, really tasty, especially for like $80. I've bought bottles of whiskey for 200 or so before that I would put this right up against any day. The heat, tobacco, that goes away, chocolate, and then all of a sudden, boom, just a burst of cherry. Great evolution. This stuff is really tasty, and you should try to get yourself a bottle before they're all gone. I'm definitely going to wind up making some cocktails with this, and not just your regular old fashions and Manhattans. I'm thinking like a Boulevardier or something like that might be really fun. But yeah, really, really dark stuff, and I think just sitting in the air and kind of developing a little bit in the glass, it's getting even darker, almost like a cola, fig, jamminess to it. It's really, really, really delicious. That's really all I can say about it. But overall, this stuff is delicious, and we do have some available. It is super limited. I think we only have like 6 bottles left right now as of recording this. So I would hop on it as soon as you can. If you want a bottle of Maker's Mark Keeper, this is really delicious stuff. If you're a bourbon person and you're a fan of Maker's, pardon me, sir. Did you want some of this? Not a whiskey fan? That's all right. See ya. If you're a bourbon fan and you're a fan of Makers, this is definitely a release to try to find. We have some left. You should definitely come over and grab it as soon as you can if you want it, because I don't think there's more being released anytime soon. But this is one of my favorite bottles that I bought this year because you're getting a lot of value for your money. It's like 80-something bucks and it's delicious. I think it drinks like a $150 bottle of bourbon though. Once you get to that price point, potato, tomato, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna stop drinking now and get back to work. Don't forget, go hit up empirewine.com/free if you want some free shipping. Go to empirewine.com/email if you'd like to join our email subscription list. We send out awesome emails once a week that tells you about all of the cool stuff that we have on offer, any weekly specials. And check out all the links down in the description. Hit some buttons, likes, follows, subscribes, comments, whatever we do on YouTube to help everybody out. Go ahead and do all that. That's all I got for you today. Adios.